All right, guys. So I am on to part two of this whole thing that I've been struggling with this week of people who let us down and such. And so, yeah. So while I was journaling about this today, this whole statement just kind of popped into my head, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is it for sure. I think to be able to for me to be able to battle my own issues with codependency, and that is that people fill roles, not holes in our lives, people, I think the best way to be able to combat like our when people disappoint us and that horrible gut wrenching feeling that we have, um, it's to remember like who people are in our lives and how much our happiness truly depends on us. So anyway, so yeah, people play a part of our journeys. They are not our destination. I think that's like huge for so many reasons. Good grief, that could just be a book in and of itself, that line. Um, because I think we have to continue to remember that people are just like us, bottom line is we're temporary, as much as we love the idea that like someone will be in our lives forever, they can't be in our lives forever. You know, things happen, people pass, people, um, become injured. I had a dear friend whose husband, became bipolar within, just a year after they got married. And it just pushed them to the point where he went untreated. He wouldn't take care of himself. And he went from this amazing guy to, a very toxic person. And she eventually had no choice but to leave. Um, so people are temporary in our lives. They are not forever. And the other thing too is people are flawed, just like us. you know, um, there's they're not 100% reliable all the time. That's absolutely unfair of an expectation to have of any person in our lives. I mean, especially including ourselves, so also, the thing too is that people don't know the ins and outs of us. They're not mind readers or heart readers. They can pick up on cues and they can get in there to an extent, but they can't get in to us to a point where they really know us. We as people are way too complicated for that. We're way, way too complex. I mean, heck, we often don't even know ourselves, and things come up later on in life and stuff like that. So, yeah, and then also too, people can't be fully responsible for us ever. I know of course like our parents were responsible for us to an extent. I mean, they clothed us, they fed us, they, taught us, right from wrong or and things like that. But again, we can't make them ever like fully responsible for us, in the long run. So again, people play a part in our lives. They are not, like we don't arrive. Because we get married, we don't arrive because we become a parent, or anything like that. Or we don't arrive because, of those things. What we arrive at is when we actually are, feeling fulfilled in ourselves and feeling whole in ourselves. So, yeah. And that is what is so tragic about our BPD mothers, is when I look at this list of, people are temporary, you know, my my mother can't, really handle that, or that I was flawed, that I'm flawed, that I'm not, the daughter that she exactly wanted, it's sad that she thinks that she has the ins and outs of an understanding of like who I am, and stuff. And then also this was interesting because when I figured this out, is that she also wants to be fully responsible for all of her kids. You know, like she wants to be fully responsible for them. And the reason why is because then they won't leave her. Things like that. I mean, that was part of the last time she raged at me, that was a definitely significant part of the argument was, why won't you just let me in? Like, why won't, and she screamed at me, why won't you rely on me? And stuff like that. And so, yeah, so all of that just manifests and just creates all of that really codependency crap that then, like, when we were little, we thought was like the way the world works and the way that people are supposed to be in our lives, is they're supposed to be there. And, for them to disappoint us, man, we take it so personal. And that's not what's supposed to happen, And also, too, our culture doesn't help with this at all. Oh my gosh, it makes me so frustrated, like, in that we create these very unrealistic portraits of what people are supposed to be like in our lives. I mean, I just, you listen to people talk about like how their spouse is supposed to be like this perfect person, and or that that our mothers are supposed to be this like perfect, loving, the person who's supposed to always be there for us. And I think it's true because we got this very unrealistic picture of these people. That's why it kind of feeds into our like, oh yeah, I need this, because if I had the perfect mother, then I would have been more, I would have felt complete, if I had you know the perfect, boyfriend or whatever, then I would be complete. And that's bullshit. That's not reality, because reality is the fact that, yeah, like, I don't know what exactly the percentage is, but it's pretty common for people to come out of abusive homes, where parents were really not supportive, and or people that end up with spouses who turn out to be very unhealthy and stuff like that, um, and while I've been holding out on all of that stuff and delaying like marriage and relationships and stuff, it kind of makes me wonder, like, it's just, maybe is that all more evidence that I am codependent in my relationships, because I've been holding out for this ideal, super ideal, magical what person, to love me and be there for me and to never hurt me. Like, come on, that's not reality, So anyway,